Hey everybody, it's Jesse Loader here with the Loader Real Estate Group with another weekly real estate tip for you. So today I want to talk about something that is not that common here in Alberta, but in the greater Edmonton area. And something that I haven't done a lot of, but have started to implement it more in my business. And these are final walkthroughs. So this is not another inspection. So this is after you've done everything, right? You've searched for the home, you've written an offer on the home, you've negotiated it, you've gone through the conditional period, you've got your mortgage approved, you did the home inspection, everything's all good, you remove conditions, the house is sold. Now you just have to wait until possession day. Okay, so not a lot happens during that time, just behind the scenes between the real estate brokerages and the lawyers' offices, there's some information being shared and things like that. So now, most times, if you look at my last video about home inspections, quite often after a home inspection, the buyer will go to the seller and say, hey, listen, we still want to buy the house, but we found XYZ wrong with it, so please ensure that those items are repaired prior to possession. Okay, so it's not a condition of the sale, which means it's a term, which means that essentially the seller is promising to do that before possession. Okay, the problem is, what happens if they don't? Now, even if I represent you as the buyer and we write into the contract very specific consequences if the seller doesn't do XYZ, that's all fine and good. And typically what that means is, what that term would look like is, if the seller doesn't clean the furnace and replace the sump pump, for example. Okay, if they do not do that, then the lawyers are to hold back about $1,000 worth of funds until such time the seller completes those repairs. So something like that. So, okay, great. So we have an issue that needs to be fixed. We've told them when they need to fix it by, and we've given them a consequence if they don't do that. Here's the problem. How do we know that if they did it or not? Now, one thing we can do is ask for receipts. Great. But everybody knows somebody, a plumber, an electrician, or whatever. Anybody can get an invoice that looks like a professional repair. So not good enough. So what happens is, nowadays we should really be doing final walkthroughs. So these are just a couple days before possession or so, where you go through the house, even the day before, you make sure everything's clean, you make sure everything's taken care of, and you make sure that those repairs are actually done. If not, you call the lawyer and say, these aren't done, so now they can withhold that money. And so what happens is that money is held until the seller repairs it. And if they just flat out refuse to ever repair what was specified in the contract, then you would have to do it yourself as the buyer, but then you would use those funds in order to complete it. Because what happens on possession day is, first thing in the morning, the buyer's lawyer sends money to the seller's lawyer. Okay, we don't really know what shape the house is yet. Nobody's gone in the house yet that day. Buyer's lawyer sends all the money over to the seller's lawyer. Seller's lawyer calls us and says, hey, we've received the funds, you can go ahead and release keys. We go to the house, we look inside, and sump pump's not replaced, right? So now it's really hard to backtrack. It's really hard to there's no recourse at that point. It's too late. The money's already transferred, right? So it's really important to do a final walkthrough, and something that I'm implementing more in my business. These are very, very common for brand new houses, but honestly, that's mostly to sign off on warranty information and things like that, and to ensure that all those little repairs are completed. So we really should be doing that for resale homes as well. So something that you should keep in mind as a home buyer, and something that I think more and more sellers should expect buyers to do, and something that we will be doing as a team going forward. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great rest of your weekend.